Data log 2026, May 7, day 68. Today's video diary, maybe I got a unexpected message from one of my ex relationships, and perhaps to protect my dear exes, they, no kiss, no tell, right? No kiss and tell. I'm not going to share those personal stories, but one topic could be maybe related to fire notes in China is dating Chinese women versus American women, or Western dating versus Chinese dating in a way. In China, it depends on which age group, or which, you were dating women in the 80s, born in the 80s, not in age 80s, but born in the 80s, or born in the 90s, or born in the 2000s, 80后, 90后, 00后, or you can go before that, like 70后, 60后, 70s, 60s. So my mom is 1959, so almost, 60s. Let's go from the 60s. Actually, I have no idea about 60s and 70s. I will accept my mom as a reference. So my mom's perspective is super traditional, right? And one thing that I know that her generation is, they do not like to owe money. So no advanced consumerism, no advanced spending of your future salary. That's how my mom's dating with her boyfriend Lloyd back then, when they almost got married and did not end up getting married, because my mom did not want to carry on the loan, the owe somebody money based on, Lloyd's loan. I have no idea, I think, for the 70s, maybe the couple folks I know are very high, like doctor women. And women in China, and maybe even in general, they have the 慕强. 慕强 is marry up, I guess, looking for someone who's more capable, right? But if you are already a doctor or postdoctor, the only up you can go is a professor, and there are not that many professors, I guess. So I think that starting from the 70s, women born in the 70s, and then 80s and 90s. You can actually ask 80后、70后，70后、80后、90后、00后，那00后还不行吧？00后还不能算。70后、80后、90后的所谓的剩女状况是怎么样子的？
没有剩女。
对，
未婚女性。
未婚女性。OK,
这个
that's
词
right.
本身就带着我按70后8
In English, please.
First, a note. The term leftover women is a derogatory stereotype in Chinese society.
Yes.
We use unmarried women instead for respect.
Sure.
Here's a clear breakdown by generation. Post-70s, born 1970 to 1979, now aged 46 to 55, they face the strongest family and social pressure to marry.
Right.
Most grew up under traditional values that women must marry young. Many are financially independent, well-educated, and chose not to settle for unsuitable partners when younger.
Marry up.
In the
Or they
dating
don't date
market,
younger
they
ones.
are largely overlooked. Most peers are already married. Mentally, most are calm and self-sufficient, though occasional pressure from relatives still bothers them. Post-80s born, 1980 to 1989, aged 36 to 45. They are the largest group of unmarried women and the most targeted by the leftover women label, caught between traditional family expectations and modern pursuits of independence. Typically highly educated, career-focused, financially stable, and unwilling to compromise on marriage. They struggle with anxiety, pressured by parents, but unwilling to give up personal freedom and standards. Post-90s born, 1990 to 1999, aged 26 to 35, with much lighter social pressure than the older generations, hold modern attitudes. Marriage is a choice, not a life requirement. Prioritize personal happiness, self-development, and emotional compatibility over marriage age. Many delay marriage voluntarily. They do not view being unmarried as a problem. Would you like a more concise version for reading or sharing?
No, I'm good. Can you tell me briefly what are the percentage of the unmarried women population in the 70s, 70后、80后、90后 in English, please?
Here's a brief English-only breakdown of unmarried women percentages in China by generation based on latest census and official demographic data. 1. Post-Qilin S born, 1970到1979, unmarried rate 3%到5%. Very few remain
Why
single.
is it speaking
Most married
in
early
bilingual?
under traditional norms. 2. Post-Alling S born, 1980到1989, unmarried rate 15%到20%, the largest single female group. Many delay
Okay, so
marriage for
15
education and
15 to
careers.
20% in the 80s.
Post-Alling S born,
And a third of the 90s. Wow. That's a quite large.
Highest single rate. Modern attitudes make marriage a choice, not a must. Would you like a one-sentence summary for quick reference?
No, that's enough statistics. I don't know why I went into the unmarried women part. But anyways, so yeah, so it's the China situation has this kind of social challenge of, you see a third of the women born in the 1990s, a quarter of the women born in the 1980s, and especially these women are what typically if you use a classification of group A women. So if you group A, B, C, D, and then A, B, C, D for both women and men, and because women marry up and men, it's okay to marry equal or down. So group A men will be married, to group A, B, C, D women, right? Typically A, B. And then group B men will have group, B and C women. Because for group A women, group B men is marrying down, right? So go so on and so forth. Then group C men will have group C women and group D women. Now then what's left behind are group A women and then group D men. And they never meet. And that's a challenge, like for group A women are typically in the cities and group D men are typically in the rural villages. So that's a kind of the social background of such. And I think the reason I mention this is because if we're looking at fire notes in China, and then, you know, I think the relationship, the social relationship and romantic relationship and companion relationship and partner relationship are essential part of fire, because if you are not busy with doing, you know, work, your companionship, your social life is essentially your main course in early retirement. And that's reflected actually in the retirement communities that I learned a little bit more about, just such as my retirement community, their companionship, and even from Maggie's ayi, from Maggie's nanny, she was saying, she's recently divorced, and she was saying that, hey, you know, Xiaoliao, if you are bringing, like, telling people that come to China to retire, perhaps, you know, there are men from abroad come to China and you know, does not look down upon divorced women. So in social norm in China, especially for the people born in the 60s and 70s, traditional family values and marriage completeness, like my parents, right, is they will be looked down upon for being divorced. And I had similar issues with my previous relationships where it was fine between me and the girl, but then when it comes to family side, like their parents, I very often get fucked up by, you know, my dating partner's parents. And it's a similar situation, always, pretty much every single case, because my divorced parents and my kind of non-mainstream attitude and my, you know, outlier personality is, I think, considered uncontrollable and not normal by traditional Chinese parents' standards, especially parents of women, parents of girls. So I think, although now after I came back to China for more than 3 years now, I realized it's like a pretty much mix of things, right? You could call, there are people born in the 70s and 60s, very traditional family oriented, yet, you know, they are seeking for companionship when they are old. Like when you are getting old, you don't give a fuck. You don't give a fuck anymore. Right? You just want companionship. You know, who cares? But then in the retirement community, what they said is 搭子 companionship instead of actual, you know, getting married. Because when you're getting married, then you get your children involved. Because your children is worried about inheritance. So as long as the elders do not get married, then the children don't care. Like, oh, you can go date or have companion, or, you know, you have this uncle or have this auntie with you, that's fine. But as long as you guys do not get the marriage certificate, otherwise then it becomes, you know, somebody can take the inheritance away, which is, I think, is a very selfish way of 道德绑架, like guilt tripping your parents not getting married because you don't want their inheritance being shared. But inheritance is parents, right? So that's women born in the 60s and 70s situation, they are just like Maggie's nanny. She's financially independent. She is strong-minded. She is capable. She divorced her gambling husband, and she wants to look for companionship when she's retired. She's going into her 60s. And similarly to my stepmom, she also has surprisingly also a gambling husband, and she divorced him, but then her daughter, because of the social norm in a small town, does not accept her mom's divorce. Although her mom married my dad, she never accepted her. I supposed to have a stepsister, and she never accepted this new marriage. You see, and then for the women born in the 80s, which is my generation, we still have a very strong family need. Like even with my divorced parents, I yearn to have a family. Right? I yearn to have a companionship and relationship and a romantic companion. But my idea is that the couple should be above everyone else. Like the husband and wife relationship should be number one, and then the children parents relationship, and then the grandparents relationship and such. But one thing I learned is in China, when women after married and become moms, they actually typically very often bring their children's relationship at the first, and the husband's relationship, and they call it home status, 家庭地位, right? Home status is very low. Like sometimes they even joke about they are lower than the pets. And I feel that's with my mixed Western and Eastern values, that's not respectful to men. Especially if you're the bread maker, and you work and you have to, and Chinese women born in the 1980s and even before have this concept of asking the husband to give them the whole salary, like 工资卡, like your work debit card, your salary debit card. And that's a norm, I think, for the women born in the 1970s and 80s. I know in the 90s, some women do it, some women don't. And especially if the women, after giving birth to children and becomes full-time housewives, they feel this is a sense of security to hold on to the husband's salary. And then you give stipend to the husband. And afraid of your wife is kind of seen as a family motto in a way. Like even the Macau's big multi-generational wealth family, like Macau's Du Wang, like the casino king, although he himself has many wives, he will say that, 怕老婆 something 怕老婆 听老婆的话能发财 something like listen to your wife, you will be rich. And kind of like happy wife, happy life kind of saying in the US. So women in the 1980s still have strong family sense. They will ask for their husband's salary card. They will put children's place at the first, and then comes to the couples. Oh no, not even the couples, then the parents or something, like children first, and then grandparents, and then maybe pets, and then the husband, which is, I think it's not equal and respectful for the husband. I don't know why many Chinese men put up with that. The other thing is for the women born in the 1990s, Now, the interesting part is their parents are usually in the 1960s or 1970s even. And they are the first generation where they don't need to worry about having a house or have food to eat, because their parents already have multiple houses. And that's a generation where a third of them in the first tier cities go to study abroad. So they also have this West and East mix. And women in the 1990s will have this independence women kind of concept. And they usually typically have their own careers and such. And even for the ones become housewives, they may still face similar issues and challenges of disconnect with society, but they have a lot more freedom and resources, and their husbands are typically more equally respectful, I guess. Man, this topic, I realize I'm not such an expert. I only dated women that were older than me since college. And dated women like first kind of innocent like and love, and then also dated women that cheated on their boyfriend that I did not know about. So I was the mistress, and I did not know about. Dated women that did not want to, did not think that we will go on for long, and it was more of a college kind of time dating experience. Dated women that never dated others before, which kind of have its pro and cons. And I was their first date, first boyfriend kind of thing, and which they are older than me, which is kind of sometimes weird. But again, my kryptonite in my previous relationships are always their parents, because I'm not, with my divorced parents' background, plus I'm not someone who obeys or listens to elders much. And then dated women who says, oh, I will only date for 1 year, and if we only, after 1 year we either get married or we break up, because that's enough time I want to invest in a relationship. Dated women who used me as a tool to get her status to stay in the US. Dated women who really liked me, and I did not realize at that time that I did not like them that much. Dated women who in a long distance, which I never will do again, like, no way. We used to call it in fraternity, like, there ain't any 100-mile long dicks kind of thing. So no long distance. That doesn't work for me. Tried once, terrible. What else? Dated women who wanted to have a monthly stipend. It's just kind of weird. You try it once and you'd be like, okay, there's no difference. Why am I giving you a monthly stipend? Dated women who are very much like Western women, who are open and who are open-minded and focus on taking care of each other and looking at each other and have, I didn't know that's a normal relationship. Dated women who come on very strongly passionate with love, and all of a sudden cliff drop you, like 断层, like just like all of a sudden due to parents' reasons, again, says, okay, 1 minute we were looking and holding hands and talking about the future. The next minute, they blacklist you on all the WeChat and IM tools. And I just realized I had quite a diverse dating experiences and relationship experiences. Oh, what the fuck. Okay, this topic for diary purpose, for just creating the data. Oh, what else? Dated women who just use you as a free meal ticket? Dated women who I chased for a long time, spent a lot of money, who didn't like me at all? Dated women who, yeah, and actually all of them are Chinese. Or Chinese American, okay, the Taiwanese. Taiwan is China too, I guess. And yeah, I think depends on when they were born, the different women groups have very different ways of looking at relationship and marriage. But one thing quite often though is for Chinese women, they like to confirm relationship before anything happens. And in the US, you kind of date first and kind of make sure that you are, biologically, emotionally compatible before you confirm your relationship. And in the US, there are like exclusive versus non-exclusive dating. Like you are only dating one person at a time, or you can date multiple people at a time. And then, of course, later you become exclusive. But in China, it's not like that. You kind of say, hey, you say that you like each other. 表白, what's 表白 in English? 小霸王花. 表白 in English. Confession, yeah. If you confess to someone you like them, and then it's equivalent of confirming in a exclusive relationship without actually maybe you went out to dates, but you can go out on things before. And I think in this part of my life now, age 39 and almost 40 at the midlife, I think what's important, if you simplify into intimate relationships, is you can 吃在一起, 聊在一起, 睡在一起. Like you can eat together well, you can talk together well, and you can sleep together well. That's it. As simple as those 3 criteria. You can eat together, you can talk together, and you can sleep together. And by the way, I believe especially for married and have children couples, it's like a sexless sexless marriage is a very common, often thing in China. 小霸王花，小霸王花，
你好。
中国无性婚姻的数据。
目前学界对无性婚姻的主流定义是，夫妻无生理疾病意外等特殊情况，但连续1个月以上没有默契。
小霸王花，小霸王花，中国无性婚姻统计 in English。
Statistics of sexual marriage in China 诞生 Asexuality, generally defined when there is no physiological disease or accidental accident. The couple has no consensual sexual life for more than one consecutive month, or has less than time sexual life within 1 year. Global proportion data.
Okay, I don't know what the hell happened to Xiaomi AI. That was weird. I'm at red light. So 21% of married women in China are currently in a asexual marriage. Increases significantly with age. Okay. So about a quarter. So that's kind of the situation. And I found it very difficult to accept that kind of situation myself. But I found that it becomes like a norm in China. And the brief exposure I had with other men in similar age, they seem to seek either mistress or they go to business KTV. Like, you hire not hookers, that's illegal, but you kind of hire, service women who, go to KTV and sing together with you, and then you kind of mo chang, they call it, like touch singing, like you can kind of touch the women, is business KTV in China. And that's just fake and no connection, in my opinion. Like, it's like almost like you are in a play, you are in an improv. But that's just my opinion. And yeah, it's like I tried once in the kind of like the bachelor party thing, that for a wedding in China. It was weird. I found it to be non-cost effective in a way. I prefer deep conversations and deep connections. That's it. This is the data. This is probably most controversial data log I have created so far.